changing the way that you think will change the way that you interact with your world. It will amplify and enhance your experience as a human here on Earth. Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Leeor Alexandra. Welcome to the Baby Elephant community. On this channel, we talk about the law of attraction, spirituality, self-development, and so much more. And today, I was talking with somebody in my DMs the other day and they were telling me, I want to expand my consciousness. I want to go on this spiritual journey, but I don't understand how. I was raised in this small town. My family is very traditional, kind of closed-minded, and I want to expand my own awareness. I want to see the world, even though I can't see the world right now. I want to be a more worldly person. I want to change the way that I think, because the way that I think thus far has not helped me live a good life. I get that often, and it's because there is so much that we can do to shift our consciousness and shift our awareness that sometimes it can be daunting. But I've made a list here today of things that if you just do one of these, this will change your life. This will change the way that you interact with yourself, with other people, and with the world in general. Changing the way that you think will change the way that you manifest. It will change the way that your relationships play out, how you interact with other people. Overall, changing the way that we think, creating these new neural pathways in our brain, these new habits. This is the way, this is the pathway to living a fully actualized life, to being a human being who's also a spiritual being, because that's what you are. You are spirit within a human vessel. Living in that way is living more fully engaged in this earth realm, this earth school, this fun place that we all choose to come to. Before we get started with today's video, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Blinkist. If you're not familiar with Blinkist, it's an app that takes the best insights and all the need-to-know information from thousands of really good non-fiction books and condenses them into just 15 minutes so you could consume a full book and all the good things that it has to offer in just 15 minutes rather than scrolling on social media. On the app, you can actually read or listen to these books podcast style, and you get the best insights from all these books and you have access to them offline as well. So I recently read the autobiography of Malcolm X. I read the actual full book and I highly recommend that. But in the book, Malcolm X says to Alex Haley, "You will never catch me with a free 15 minutes in which I'm not studying something I feel might be able to help the black man." And I found that so inspirational because really, if you read his story, everything changed for him once he started to read, and reading became a huge part of his life. And that's how, if you guys know me by now, I'm a lifelong student. I'm always studying and I have all this huge list of books that I want to get through, and sometimes I can't do all that, and Blinkist makes that really easy for me. By the way, autobiography of Malcolm X is actually on Blinkist, so instead of the month that it took me to read it, you can read it in about 20 minutes. You can get the best insights in about 20 minutes. Also, they have full-length audiobook versions now as well, if that's your thing. So right now, the books that I have on my list over here, I have Wabi Sabi by Beth Campton, Maps of Meaning by Jordan Peterson. I've been meaning to read this, but it's a dense book, it's big. What I really like about Blinkist is I can see whether I like a book or not. I get this membership and I see whether I like the book or not, and then I know if I want to go deeper into it rather than just buying a bunch of books. So also The Stress Code by Richard Sutton, The Hidden Wealth of Nations by Gabriel Zucman, 10% Happier by Dan Harris, I'm excited, and Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is here. Another thing that I really like about Blinkist is I can revisit things, remember things from books that I've read in the past by seeing just the best aspects of them, the best insights of them. If you're interested in Blinkist, since they're sponsoring this video, the first 100 people to use my link below, which is blinkist.com/Leeor Alexandra, get a free full week of premium membership and 25% off your membership if you want to continue with it after the free week. So use that link below, and thank you Blinkist for sponsoring this video. So how can we start to expand our consciousness? What are things that we can do every day to rewire the way that we think? Now, I think that this is actually pretty simple, but it does take a commitment, because when we live our lives a certain way for so long, we kind of get used to it. It kind of becomes comfortable. I was talking about this with my mom the other day, how for me, it's like watching drama channels on YouTube, and for her, it's watching really dark conspiracy theory stuff. It's so much easier for us to choose to watch those things while we're doing other things, or to entertain ourselves, rather than to choose something uplifting, something that will change the way that we look at life. And that's because the human being is actually addicted to drama. We're addicted to trauma and drama. But we can break this addiction, and we can instead become addicted to improving ourselves and to living happier, healthier lives if we just make choice by choice to do so. Now, this is my list for how we're going to do that. The number one, I've been talking about this a lot lately because I've reincorporated it lately into my own routine, and it's been life-changing, and it's such a small thing to do. It's such an easy habit to incorporate into your day that makes such a difference. No one can argue that they don't have enough time for this, and that is to say daily affirmations. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, you know that I post daily affirmations on my Instagram story, where you can click yes or no and to affirm that reality. I've also been listening to affirmation tracks on YouTube right when I wake up. I right away put them on, and then I go through my morning routine, brushing my teeth, washing my face, everything, and taking my supplements and all that. I will do that while listening to affirmations. And then I will also listen to affirmations on the way to my workout or to the grocery store, wherever I need to go. I will repeat them in the car. I always like to repeat them while I'm in the car. I've also started to put sticky notes of affirmations here and there, just as a reminder to myself, like, check your thoughts, check what story is running around in your mind. And is that the story that you want to go with for the rest of the day, or can we change it? Because we have, I think it's somewhere between 60 and 80,000 thoughts every single day. And most of these thoughts are just repetition from the day before and the day before and the day before. And the way that we stop this cycle of thinking exactly the same way about ourselves and not moving in our lives and not progressing in our lives and not being happy in our lives, which you don't need to progress, you need to just be happy where you currently are, is by changing the way that we think, changing the thought patterns that we experience every single day. So affirmations helps you to do that. And if the more you say them, the better, because you're actually creating these new paths of thinking in your brain. And the more that you traverse them, the deeper these pathways become. And we can see this in brain scans in our brain. It's absolutely miraculous. The second way that I believe that we can completely change our mindset, retrain our brain for success, for happiness, just to be more well-rounded human beings, is hypnotherapy, hypnosis. So this isn't classical hypnosis. If you follow my journey, you know that I've been studying hypnotherapy. I've been taking a course. I'm getting my certification. I think I already might have it. I'm not sure. And the way that this works is through providing suggestions and deep relaxation. The brain, the subconscious mind, is rewired. Okay, so you can find hypnotherapy sessions here on my channel. I'll link some below for you. I've mentioned this before. I really like Michael Seeley's hypnosis and guided meditations here on YouTube. If you guys follow your own hypnosis sessions, I'd love to know who you listen to, who you trust. I'd like to check them out. On that topic, a lot of people use subliminals, and I get asked about subliminals all the time. I do have a video with my reaction to subliminals that I recorded a few years ago. And again, I will say, I do believe that subliminals work. There is an aspect of the placebo effect in there for sure, but there's also an aspect of gaining access to the subconscious mind. And once you gain access to the subconscious mind, you really can manifest and create your reality through that, because we manifest 80 to 90% of our physical outer reality through the subconscious. So we're only creating 10% of our reality with our conscious awareness. So accessing the subconscious is super, super important. For me, I have seen hypnosis to be more beneficial than subliminals, but other people have seen subliminals to be super, super helpful. So do what works for you. Do them both. Make sure that you can trust the subliminal person, because there's a lot of drama with that. The third recommendation I have for expanding our consciousness and thinking in different ways is to read different genres of books. So there's this one thing that I've noticed about myself. Growing up, I read all fiction books, or historical fiction, or historical nonfiction too. But basically, I go through these stages where I read only through, massive expanses of time where I read only one kind of book. And in the past most of my 20s, other than my yearly reread of the Harry Potter series, I only read spirituality and self-development books because I'm on this journey with myself and with you guys, and I want content to create and inspiration, and I'm constantly looking to expand and to grow, right? But there is a caveat to that, because if you're only reading the same type of information, even when there's things that are new or even conflicting, you're only using this certain aspect of your brain and certain aspect of your soul. So what I've started to incorporate is I'm reading nonfiction books and fiction books and things that don't have much to do, at least, with spirituality and self-development. So I read a few books at once. That's just how I like to do it. For example, in June, I read A New Earth, which is, of course, a self-development spiritual book by Eckhart Tolle. I also read The Celestine Prophecy, which is actually a fiction book. It is still spiritual, but it's fiction. And I read The Autobiography of Malcolm X. Now, right now, I'm reading How to Perceive Higher Worlds by Rudolf Steiner, which is, the language is a little bit more difficult, but it's a really good book, and that is a spiritual book. In the same time, I'm reading the book Letters to My Palestinian Neighbor. I am currently going deep, questioning everything that I know, and I don't want the comment section to turn into a political discussion. I just want to be a good example of somebody who's questioning her own roots and also wanting to be more informed on everything happening in the world. So when you read something, and it doesn't have to be politics, and it doesn't have to be history, it could be whatever it is, science, it could be health related, cooking, just something different that you don't usually consume. Autobiographies and biographies are a great genre to get into if you want to expand your consciousness, because you are putting yourself in the shoes of somebody who has a life that is so completely different than yours, and that way you can grow. This is the thing about a lot of people who don't have the opportunity to travel and to meet a lot of different people, and who maybe their towns, everybody looks like them, and it's not so much of a melting pot like it is here in Los Angeles, and you didn't move from one place to another. That's one of the things that gets in our ways. We can't understand other people's journeys and other people's perspective. And reading takes you into that world, and you feel your brain expanding. You feel your heart opening, and you start to understand somebody more. You start to walk through somebody else's shoes. So I highly recommend, at least making a goal to, maybe if you're not a big reader, just once a year reading something very out there for you, and seeing how that feels. Because for me, it felt really, really good, and it's feeling really good. The next tip I have for expanding your awareness is having heart-centric conversations with new people and also with old people fully engaged. So when we want to understand ourselves better, often we can do that by understanding other people, because everybody is our reflection, and our biggest teachers are our relationships. So why I say new and old people is because sometimes we get too comfortable with people in our lives, and we stop to really have conversations with them. We stop to really see them. We stop sitting and looking into their eyes and really hearing what they have to say. So I want to challenge you to, whoever you're kind of on autopilot with, having a real conversation with them, sitting and fully engaged and listening, noticing when you're thinking about how to respond, and putting a stop to that. Instead, just fully listening to what this person is saying to you and what they mean, and seeing also what this reflects back to you. This is a great way to expand your awareness and expand your consciousness. And then another thing that you can do is to meet somebody new. And you can do this, we're in the age of information. We're in the digital age. You can reach somebody from across the world in seconds. So, reaching out to somebody to have a conversation, somebody who's different from you, somebody who you want to meet. If you're in the baby elephant community, this should be really easy. We have 33,000 people around the globe who are always posting there all day long. Get to know somebody, talk to somebody, find out what their story is. This will show you so much about yourself and about how to deal with other people. The thing about today's day and age is everything's just a little bit too easy for us. We're constantly consuming all these things, television, videos, all this stuff. So we think that we're learning, but we're not really putting ourselves into uncomfortable situations where we can actually explore ourselves. And I highly recommend trying that. And uncomfortable situations could be, trying out a new job, or volunteering somewhere or going somewhere where you haven't been in your town. You know, it's hard to travel these days, but you know what I mean. Just seeing life a little bit differently. That's where people expand their consciousness. That's where people, you know, bringing it back to that Malcolm X story. Once he visited the Arab countries outside of the US, he saw that his worldview, even though he had gone through so much and experienced so much, it was so small, and his mind grew so much. And this happens on micro levels and macro levels all the time to all of us. The last tip I have is to create time in your daily life for otherness. So this is actually inspired by Rudolf Steiner and a lot of spiritual leaders. We live our lives often in autopilot without giving ourselves a bit of time for otherness, for spiritual otherness. So this could be meditation, it could be breath work, it could be learning how to channel, learning how to astral project. What I do is I like to do shamanic journeying, right? Which is something that I learned to do earlier this year. Or I like to go take a walk in nature. But doing something that gets you out of the mindset of work, eat, clean, do this, responsibilities, all this, something that has no goal. Doing something, setting aside a block of time in your day or in your week, which this time is for magic. This time is for self-exploration. And creating that space invites magic in, because those who focus and believe in magic are the ones who experience it. You know, I set aside time for breath work. I set aside time for journaling. I set aside time where I put everything away. All the electronics are away. Even music is off because I don't want any stimulation. And I just sit and I'll probably journal and just, you know, write what's on my mind. And that time, creating that time of slowness and reflection and magic, that is what allows us to be fully engaged in actualized human beings here, not at the whim of everything else. So these 5 tips are how I expand my awareness, expand my consciousness on an everyday level, and keep myself tapped in, tuned into the magic to live a magical existence. And listen, I can say from my own experience that this works. The more I expand my awareness, the more I understand myself, the more marvelous I find myself in my inner workings, the more magnificent I find other people in this world. I look at the world as a party rather than as a challenge, or, you know, it's a school, and it's so fascinating, and everything is our teacher. And this is the way to get there, just to expand your awareness and change the way that you think. We've been thinking one way our entire lives. How about we add something to it? How about we take something out? I hope this was helpful. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so that I know you like my weird stuff, and I like you too, and I love you. Until next time, keep your vibrations way, way, way up.